Okay, so let's be real. Your solar system stops working, and what's the first thing that goes through your mind? For most of us, we just start guessing, right? We poke at one thing, then another, and we end up chasing symptoms all over the system. Well, that's all about to change. Today, we're going to walk through a real professional's workflow for finding the exact fault every time.
So is your system just not putting out the power it used to? Is it shutting down for no reason? Or is it just being weird? Great, we're going to tackle that. We are going to completely replace that frustrating guesswork with a step-by-step logical workflow that helps you find the problems safely.
You really have two ways you can go here. On one side, you've got the guessing game. It's totally chaotic, you're just reacting to symptoms, and you're treating every part like it's on its own little island. But on the other side, you've got the logical workflow. This is orderly, it focuses on finding the actual root cause because it understands your system is one big interconnected chain. And that is the pro approach.
To really get this right, you've got to stop thinking about individual parts and start thinking like a system. See, your solar setup isn't just a pile of components, it's an energy chain. Power flows in one and only one direction.
And this slide lays it out perfectly. The journey starts at the panels where power is generated. Then it flows to the controller for regulation, gets stored in the battery, and finally, it's converted by the inverter. Now here's the crucial part. If any single link in this chain gets weak or breaks, the entire system suffers. It's that simple. And that's exactly why we troubleshoot by following this flow of energy step by step.
So that means we start right at the beginning at the source of all the power, the panels. I mean, it's just common sense, right? If your power source is weak or dead, everything down the line is going to be starved for power. You've got to make sure this foundation is solid before you even think about looking anywhere else.
Okay, so after you safely disconnect your panels, the first thing you'll do is measure the open circuit voltage, or VOC. That's just a fancy way of saying the voltage a panel makes with nothing connected to it. And as you can see here, the results tell a story. If you're getting 0 volts, you've probably got a wiring fault somewhere. If it's super low, you might be looking at shading or even panel damage, but if it matches what's on the back of the panel, you're golden. And hey, don't forget to just look. Is it dirty? Is something blocking the sun? Are the connectors loose? Sometimes it's that simple.
Awesome. Now let's move to the very next link in the chain. We're going to check the path from the panels all the way to the charge controller. You have to remember this. Any power that's lost in the wires is power that is gone forever. You're never getting it back.
Now this is where the methodical approach really pays off. Checking for voltage drop is incredibly easy this way. You literally measure the voltage at the panels, then you walk over and measure it right where the wires enter the controller. See a big difference? Boom, you found a problem. And it's almost always one of these 3 usual suspects. The cables are too small for the run, the terminals are loose, or you've got corrosion building up.
So we've confirmed we have good, healthy power arriving at the controller. Now it's time to check the brains of the whole operation. Is the charge controller actually doing its job? Is it taking that power and sending it to the battery like it's supposed to?
Here's your quick mental checklist. First, yep, we have good voltage coming in. We know that from the last step. Next, are we seeing any charging current going out to the battery? Now, if you have voltage coming in but 0 amps going out, well, that's a huge red flag for the controller itself. And finally, and oh man, this one trips up so many people, is the battery type setting correct? If you're trying to charge a lithium battery with a setting for AGM, it's just never going to work right. It'll never get a full charge.
All right, moving right along the energy chain to our storage tank, the battery. This is, without a doubt, one of the most common failure points in any solar system, and honestly, the symptoms can be really misleading and send you on a wild goose chase.
You know that classic sign of a dying battery? The voltage looks perfectly fine, and then the second you turn something on, bam, the whole system just dies. That sharp, sudden voltage drop under load is the telltale heart of a weak or damaged battery. So it's crucial to test that voltage both when it's just sitting there and again with a load on it. And while you're down there, put your hands on the terminals. Are they tight? Do you see any signs of swelling or feel any excessive heat?
We're getting really close to the end of the line now. This next link, the heavy-duty wiring that connects the battery to the inverter, is an absolutely critical failure point. Why? Because the amount of current flowing through these cables is massive. It's actually kind of crazy to think about. Even a tiny, tiny fraction of an ohm of extra resistance, say from a connection that isn't torqued down perfectly, can get incredibly hot. It can cause a huge voltage drop, and it can actually trick your inverter into thinking the battery is dead, forcing it to shut down to protect itself.
And at last, we arrive at the final component in our energy chain, the inverter. This is the magic box that takes that DC power from your battery and turns it into the AC power that runs all your stuff. If it keeps shutting down, it's usually for one of a few common reasons.
Now here's the thing. An inverter shutdown isn't always the inverter's fault. It could just be a simple overload. You're just trying to run more stuff than it can handle. Or it could be shutting down on low voltage, which, as we just talked about, points you right back to a weak battery or a wiring problem. Or, and this is a big one, it could be a massive surge demand from something like a fridge or a pump, which can draw 2, 3, even 4 times its normal power just to get started.
Okay, time for the final exam. With everything hooked back up, we're going to run the system just like you normally would. Put it under a real-world load. This is where the sneaky problems, the ones caused by a combination of issues, often finally show their face. So as it's all running, you become a detective. You watch everything. Is the battery voltage holding steady or is it sagging? Where is heat building up? Any flickering lights? You see, a sudden shutdown under a real load often points to a combination of problems, like a slightly tired battery plus a little bit of voltage drop in the wiring. This test is what brings it all together.
Now, before we wrap this up, we have to pause. I need you to listen very, very closely to this next part. This is about safety. Troubleshooting should never, ever be done blindly. The energy in these systems is very real, and if you don't respect it, it can be incredibly dangerous. You have to understand this. A DC arc is not like the AC power in your house. AC power naturally crosses 0 volts dozens of times a second, which helps put out an arc. DC power is a constant, relentless flow. Once a DC arc starts, it does not want to stop, and it can create an insane amount of focused heat and fire in the blink of an eye.
And that is exactly why every single connection in your system matters so much. A loose terminal creates resistance. Resistance creates heat, and that heat can, and absolutely does, start fires. This is probably the single biggest risk in any solar installation, period.
So please, I'm begging you, follow these rules without exception. Always, always, always disconnect your power sources before you make or break a connection. Never touch live terminals. Use tools that are properly rated for the job. And look, if you ever feel unsure about a single step, the smartest, bravest, and safest thing you can do is stop, full stop, and get help from someone who knows what they're doing.
Let's end with this core principle, because it's the whole point. A solar system doesn't just fail randomly or by magic. It always, always follows the fundamental laws of electricity. So when you follow the flow of energy logically, panels, wiring, controller, battery, inverter, the problem has nowhere left to hide. You will find it.
By following this workflow, you're not guessing anymore. You're investigating, you're using logic, and the fault has no choice but to reveal itself. So the next time your system acts up, you won't feel that panic. You'll know exactly where your troubleshooting journey begins, at the beginning,